Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Insane Game Free, a Trail Game Ball Schizomaniac, whatever name you want to use. And we're back at it again. Another movie review. And, alright, so today we have the pleasure, or for most people, displeasure, of reviewing Movie 7, Destiny Deoxys, which Tia says, what is the Japanese name?
Wake me up when this is over.
The full Japanese name for movie 7 is Gekijouban Pocket Monster Advanced Generation Reku no Homonsha Deoxys, which is Pocket Monsters Advanced Generation, the theatrical presentation, the sky-rending visitor Deoxys.
Damn. Okay. So, also, as far as who's here, say hi, Tyrone.
Hello, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 here.
Richie.
This is over yet.
And Tia says,
Time to make everybody listen to the 6.5 minute Lovely Boy at the credits.
oh my god. Oh my goodness.
No one came for this shit.
This is gonna be fun, folks. This is gonna be fun. Anywho, so I think with the four of us, I think we can kind of do a somewhat off the cuff because it's not as many people this time.
Yeah.
So Destiny Deoxys, I don't even know where the fuck. We'll do this much. We'll go through each person and say if they like the film or not, and don't go too deep into it because we're gonna delve into that part. But right now, just to know,
Brief synopsis.
Well, yeah, right. I forgot, bro. I'm out of it today. Jesus,
How dare you
Tyrone,
Hey, I was stuck on a bus for fucking an hour and a half.
holy shit. Tyrone, do the synopsis. Holy shit, I forgot.
All right, plot summary. Destiny Deoxys movie 7. All right, so this movie begins actually 4 years prior to the events that actually take place. We get a really long and dragged out the world of Pokemon sequence, which I swear to God I thought was supposed to be a 3D. I thought this movie was supposed to be 3D, you know, with Deoxys being red and blue and then all the CGI and everything and the in-your-face type of stuff. But regardless, moving on. When all of that takes place, we see that there's a little boy named Tori, and he is in the Arctic along with his father, who is Professor. What's his name again? Professor
Lando.
Yeah, Professor Landon. So Professor Landon and Yoko are there, and when Tori hangs out with the Spiel, unfortunately what ends up happening is that a meteorite hits the Earth. Rayquaza ends up getting out of the ozone layer to go investigate. He ends up fighting off against a Deoxys because there were two Deoxys. Once he ends up fighting, the fighting causes the Walrein and Celio.
Jesus Christ, how did you fuck that name up?
Yeah, Walrein and Celio in order to have a huge ambush and launch into one area, which causes Tori basically to have PTSD moments with Pokemon because he's traumatized. We zoom forward 4 years later, though, and you see that Ash and the others are going to a city known as LaRue City. They're going there because Ash wants to battle off against trainers in the battle tower. Okay. And then when they get to LaRue City, they notice that the roads end up moving by themselves and it's very a high-tech city. And we end up meeting some by-the-way characters. We end up meeting a jackass named Ray. We end up meeting another guy. I can't remember his name. I just know he likes May. And then we end up meeting up with this
Sid or Shota.
It's Sid.
Sid Shota.
It's Sid. And then what was the girl who Brock was flirting with? Eric. I thought it was Rebecca.
No, it's Rebecca or Hitomi.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Rebecca.
See, I thought it was Rebecca.
Yes, so Brock ends up flirting with Rebecca, and Rebecca's basically our go-to scientist for when, Yoko isn't around. And during this time, we learn that Tori has actually befriended Deoxys in spirit form. Due to some miscommunications, Ash winds up in a battle against Ray and Shota and the battle tower, but he ends up bringing Tori along with him on accident. Tori doesn't have any Pokemon and he's afraid of Pokemon, so he's completely useless in the battle. Ash gets his butt kicked, but when Ash tries to get Tori to get used to Pokemon, at first he's all not about it, but he warms up to him eventually in a weird montage sequence. After that, however, we see that everything goes astray when the original Deoxys that was in the Arctic ends up attacking the entire city. Then we get this whole Walking Dead situation with the Deoxys making clones of itself, attacking an entire city that has no power. Also, the Pokeballs can't work anymore, so Ash is only restricted to using Pikachu, and May and Brock are basically useless. And Max got stuck with 2 twins. So when that takes place, it's a fight for survival to find food, water, shelter, and to get away from the Deoxys and find out exactly why Deoxys is attacking LaRue City. We learn that Deoxys is looking for the other Deoxys that's in LaRue City, and he's abducting all Pokemon, people, and items so that they can get out of the way so that he can effectively look for Deoxys. When this happens, Rayquaza wants his freaking rematch, so he ends up attacking everybody in LaRue City as well to get to Deoxys. The battle ensues. Ash and Tori have successfully revived Deoxys from the meteorite in which it was. Tori gets used to Pokemon or something, and then after that, when the 2 Deoxys get along, Rayquaza tries to break up the party, ends up attacking because of the major damage that's happening to the city. The security robots that guard the city are going into maximum overdrive and cause a complete huge ambush on the entire city. And the only way to stop it is to put their key card in the security chief robot. Tori tries to do it but fails. Ash tries to do it but fails, and then Pikachu knocks the card over. Ash grabs it, hits the card so that the machine can stop. The city returns back to normal. Everybody's back to the way they were. And the movie basically comes to a close with Tori saying he likes Pokemon now. The end.
All right. I think I had an initial plan to have everyone do their first generalized faults, but I think at this point, I think we need to just freeball this shit. Because it's going to get into a whole bunch of different conversation topics if one of us starts. So we might as well just start off. And I think I'm going to have TSS start off in there. At certain points, we're just going to start interjecting.
I was just going to say, have TSS start this.
So,
okay, so some of the huge faults that I find with the movie is I have a few. I have
do you like the movie?
Thousands,
a thousand. But I also have a few theories as well. So let me get to the facts first.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so number one, the Deoxys Rayquaza at the fight at the beginning is way too long. It takes like fucking 15 to 20 minutes. That's way too fucking
I agree.
long. Yeah, that's way too long. There are a lot of filler scenes that should have not even been there. I mean, some of the filler scenes, I mean, I could probably count about 15 minutes worth of filler scenes. It was just that bad.
Sun the Moon would be proud.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And also, the movie should have ended like 15 to 20 minutes before the actual clock ended. Because I think the whole, the robots going ape shit, I think that was unnecessary and kind of useless, really.
I completely agree.
And let me get into a theory on why that was. Now, as we mentioned in the last review, movie 6 was the last one to have a short associated with it. So my thinking was maybe in the early storyboards, they were thinking, okay, maybe there's going to be another short associated with that. And then they probably wrote the movie as it was. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, as you would look at this, Pokemon Company struck a deal with ANA with the shorts airing on their domestic airplane flights instead of in the movie theaters. So in lieu of that, they probably had to change the script and elongate the story so it can fit a full-length movie instead of an hour and 20 minutes like movies such as Jirachi did. So that's one thing. Also, another fun fact is that the original English dub, actually had an incomplete version of the movie with incomplete CG. So the Japanese copy is the superior copy. However, though, we will get into later why it's not. But we will save that for another time. But and also this city, LaRue City, was based off of Vancouver. And I believe that whole scene in the Arctic probably took place in like northern Canada, considering that the focus city was based off of Vancouver. So probably it was in like maybe BC or something like that, upper BC or Northwest Territories, somewhere around there.
Damn it, Canada, we give you one moment of Pokemon. And what do you do?
one moment.
So
yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I like the city, okay? The story is
good.
Okay. If you take out all the filler scenes and then the one montage, we're gonna get to that in a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's okay, but it's still, I would say, with everything as it is, it ranks as my worst movie. Where it ranks as the worst movie
of every movie in the franchise.
Of every movie in the franchise, yes.
Damn.
Okay, we're gonna have Atlas.
Okay.
We're gonna free ball the shit out of this. All right, so listen, because I probably have the most controversial opinion here. I don't necessarily love the film, but I definitely like it more than I used to. I used to hate this film with a passion. The film honestly ain't that bad to me personally. I do agree about. Well, I kind of agree with the whole final section with the robots flipping out. I kind of agree with the argument that they could have been taken out. My only issue with that is I don't think the whole Rayquaza's cool now situation would have made any sense, because realistically, the reason and that kind of I appreciate this film partially because of that whole. It's not anything overly convoluted. It's just simply you invaded my territory. I can't have that shit. It makes for. Some people might think it makes Rayquaza seem stupid, but they are animals at the end of the day, so it makes a lot of sense. But up until the robot attack, Rayquaza was hell-bent on killing both of these things for being in its territory. And the only thing that really stopped them was the sequence in which they're getting swarmed by the blocks and the Deoxys go into the defense forms and try to shield the Rayquaza. So that's the only issue I have. Other than that, I could kind of agree, because you could kind of change up the situation and have Tori interact with Plus or Mono, like finally touch them in another way. I think that's the only thing you would have to figure out how to fix. Is the whole.
Well, and also if you look at the trailer, we're going to talk about the trailer.
Oh no, we are. But that's my situation. As far as
the film, legendary Pokemon of the skies and 2 aliens defeated by what? Blocks.
Well, that's the other.
Blocks.
That's the reason why I put it this way. I would 90% agree with the idea of cutting out that entire sequence, except for the how do you make Rayquaza realize that Deoxys aren't evil.
They could have made it happen.
Oh no, I'm not saying they couldn't. I'm just saying that's the only reason why I don't 100% agree with that thought process. The other thing is, I think this is some of the better usage of side characters that we've had in any film, mind you. I do agree on my issue. I do agree. My issue with them is that they're insanely one note. That's like my biggest problem with them.
That's also my issue.
That's like
these characters just showed the fuck up.
I'm fine with that. It's a movie. We always have characters showing the fuck up. That's the problem.
Yeah, but these characters are like.
They have no like meat to them.
Listen, I'm not saying. Listen, I agree. They're bland. I can agree with them being basic, but I don't think they're nowhere near as bad as some of the ones we would get later on in the series, later on in the films. I think they're passable, if nothing else.
Yeah,
I remember when the 3 characters show up. I can name them all in order. Ray shows up. Hi, I'm a dick. The guy who likes May shows up. Hi, I like May, and that's my personality. The twins show up. We're twins, so we automatically are obligated to say the same thing at the exact same time. Rebecca, hi, I'm the smart girl.
I agree with Tyrone.
Listen, I agree that they're bland and they're pretty basic, but in terms of their usefulness in the film, they at least are doing shit the entire film. Except for maybe, I think the twins are probably the most useful.
The twins are doing fuck all.
Yeah, the twins are probably the most useful. But the kids, they're in the same tier as Max.
They're being antagonized by Masato.
That's the problem, though. It's like, when you say they're kids and they're in the same league as Max, we just came from a Max movie.
Well, that's true.
That's just terrible.
And in between them, and then we got to juggle them and Tori. And he's already got enough shit going for him. And at least Tori has the backstory to back it up.
And speaking of Masato's character, he went from completely innocent to a complete, like, well, his kind of like the, you can see that the character was established between movie 6 and 7.
And what I mean by attractive, not the looks. I'm just talking about.
Well, damn, one of y'all got to. Which one of you is gonna talk?
No,
first?
Richie's doing it. Richie's going first.
Okay, no. What I was saying about Tori's character was that I'm not saying attractive in terms of looks, but I'm just saying how the character is overall. Also, before you go on, I thought the Deoxys and Rayquaza thing was kind of funny because it's like, hey, yeah, remember me? Yeah, I hated you for like 4 years, if we're going off of that logic.
Hell, the 4-year grudge.
Yeah,
the
but I'll
4
say
year grudge.
the biggest
Yeah, the 4 year grudge.
revelation in this film is that Rayquaza is petty as fuck.
Yes.
He is so petty about dumb shit. But hey,
Sounds like a lot of people I know.
at least he doesn't get knocked out 6 or 7 times versus.
Now, Terrell, I will give you this. If you compare this movie to movie 1's 3 characters that show up,
Movie 1's better.
this one does a better job. I mean, like, the characters show up in movie 1, and in movie 1 they're just, hey, we're strong Pokemon trainers.
And then they don't do anything.
Yeah, and then they just get their asses whooped by Mewtwo, and that's about it.
That's why I'm not as
Nostalgia fanboy,
negative
by the way.
on them. Not saying they're great. I'm just saying we've seen a lot worse, and we've seen the characters do a lot less. That's what I'm saying. But I do agree they are basic as hell and they're bland as hell. But at least they're constantly. If you're gonna, it's different than like characters like the movie 1 characters where they were introduced and then barely used in the film. At least these guys are consistently used throughout the whole damn film, and they're all.
Unfortunately, they had to come into the worst possible like plot line ever.
Well, I wouldn't say the plot line's bad. I think the plot line's just too. It's too basic for a film. It shouldn't have been the basis of a film.
It's too dry.
Well,
that's why it's like 3 different plot lines going on. Rayquaza trying to kill Deoxys, Tori's trying to get over Pokemon.
Why does this sound familiar? Oh yeah, because it's the same issue with the Mewtwo
anime
special.
episodes that do this.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thing. My thing with the and this is going back on movie 1 when the characters were introduced. The trainers that I just talked about, how they just show up and get their butts kicked, they weren't obligated though to interact with Ash. They all were there because they're just chosen as strong Pokemon trainers. Here, Ash meets them for all of like 30 minutes, and suddenly they're all having a montage where everybody's friends, everybody's playing around with Pokemon and stuff, and it's just like, okay, I guess I'm accepting this. Why am I accepting this? Because we need to have this montage because Tori hates Pokemon, but Tori likes Pokemon, right?
All right.
Let's
get in. All right. Go ahead.
I was just gonna talk about like my thoughts on the movie overall.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or at least like my half of it. The weird part is I believe that this movie has bits and pieces that are interesting. A kid being traumatized by Pokemon is definitely a subject that's never been tackled for real before. I mean, like, I think it's been lightly touched on before this, but this is the first time they actually decide to dive into it. Tori's trauma with the Pokemon makes sense, and I wish the movie had spent more time digging into that versus... Oh, look at all this stuff, and it's like you can't make someone like Pokemon suddenly. That's not how that works. So when that montage isn't enough to change Tori's mind, at least I feel like it shouldn't have been. And then another problem I have is that the movie feels like it just doesn't know when to end. Deoxys gets reunited with the other Deoxys. Oh no, but Rayquaza's attacking. Rayquaza and the others are fighting. Oh no, but the giant
monster.
Oh no, but the giant cubes are attacking everybody. It's like the movie just didn't know when to quit. And my other thing that I thought was interesting, I think the Deoxys attacking the city or whatever, and they can't use like electricity, they can't use I like the survival-esque situation, but I felt like it was used horribly because by the time it becomes an actual threat towards our heroes, they've already revived the other Deoxys, so who cares?
I will say that. I will agree. That was one of my favorite things about this film is the survival aspect, but I agree it's too fucking short. It happens. It doesn't last long enough for it to have the same level of impact. I think it's a cool
because
sequence.
we got to spend 15 minutes of Munchlax shooting a bottle into the trash.
I think once again what they did was they had everything planned out at a certain runtime, and then they had to make certain sections of the movie longer to fill in the time slot, and that's what the fuck happened.
Yeah, that's what it felt like to me. But it was a funny scene though.
I mean, listen. I can 100% agree. Well, they tried to make it plot relevant towards the end. It still really wasn't. But I can agree. The Munchlax shit was irrelevant and unnecessary. It doesn't add anything to the film. The plus and minus stuff are fine because it bleeds into the main plot.
Yeah, it's funny.
The plus and minus stuff. But fuck
it was funny the first time when he missed and got all upset. But the second time, did we really need that?
No.
Did Munchlax
it was a waste of like 3 minutes.
Did Munchlax really need closure? Like, what? But it's just...
Whoa,
I said before,
Taro, looking on the bright side, at least they knew where to end it there. They can't do that with the movie.
That's true.
Oh goodness!
That's
But
true.
and then also with the Pokeballs being unable to be used, that made May and Brock basically useless.
Well, yeah.
Whoa.
To be fair, ironically enough, I think Brock gets way more screen time in this film than he normally does.
Yeah, I think he helps Ash get the hot dogs, so that was
Yeah,
one.
Oh, that was very useful.
No, you're forgetting the famous, I pushed Tori, and they're about to get into a fight. He calms the fight down by having them eat, like, I think it's like fondue or something.
Yeah. fine.
Like,
Fondue.
ironically enough, he gets more. I think this is probably this movie he gets the most scenes in consistently.
I will say also that this movie does do a good job of like displaying Ash's other characteristics though, because I feel like if this were nowadays and Ash were in this movie and Tori pushed him, he'd be like, you shouldn't push people. Like, I don't know, he'd just be too nice about it. Whereas this one, Ash is about to beat a little kid's ass.
I mean,
Well, yeah, that's
they're
what
technically the same
the
age.
AG. I mean, technically,
Yeah, he's
it's
like-
the AG Satoshi. So he's
Ash,
Yeah.
he has the character.
Yeah, but I say Ash didn't take no shit in Advanced Generation.
Yeah, he was like, what you push me for? He was about to deck that little kid in the mouth.
For
was
me personally, because I disagree. I think I put it this way: if we're comparing these 7 films, just these 7 films, I still think the 4th movie is worse.
I agree.
Really?
I agree.
I still think the 4th movie is worse because the 4th movie is boring. It's fucking boring.
This
Yes,
movie
yes, I
is
knew you
boring.
guys would
I would rather take movie 4 than this because at least movie 4 knew when to end.
Listen, I think that's slightly exaggerated. I'm gonna be real with you. I think that's slightly exaggerated that this film is too elongated. I don't agree with that. I don't. At least I'll put it this way. At least not to the extent that you guys, because you got. Okay, well here's the question: where would you think the movie should have ended, based on what we have of the film right now? Let me ask that first.
First of all, I would have made the first sequence 5 minutes. Second of all, I would have ended at if we're going on the timestamps of the regular movie, I would have ended it at the 1 hour and 20-minute mark, and that's it.
I think so. Basically, when they got the meteorite to turn back into the original Deoxys, and they get reunited,
and they defeat Rikuza. That was probably when that should have ended.
I feel like if they really had to, if they had to end it at a part, Deoxys gets revived, but Rayquaza ends up fighting them, and in the crossfire, Tori's about to get hit, but the Deoxys that hangs out with Tori defends him, and Rayquaza realizes, oh, they're not that bad, and then dips. Bye.
You know what? That rivalry.
That actually is better.
that-
That's a better ending to the movie than whatever they.
That was a shit into rival though.
Rayquaza only attacks because Deoxys is foreign to our world. He doesn't know what Deoxys is capable of. He doesn't know what Deoxys is capable of. But when he sees that a Deoxys is going out of its way to protect a child from getting hurt from their fight, then he'll just go, "Oh, my bad," and then leave.
I don't know. I still think I think it's more powerful for the Deoxys to try to protect Rayquaza than it is to protect Tori.
Well, Ash
Because
has
Rayquaza-
spoken, and
because-
obviously
because
Ash will be in the background.
The problem is that
talking
because
to Rayquaza.
Rayquaza had not shown any level of interest or care in humans enough for me to think that would have meant anything.
I mean, well, you know how Ash does. He usually talks to legendaries and they don't listen at first. And then once he sees, like, they're defending Tori, he'll just look like Rayquaza will have that long pause. And then after they try to speak with it, Pikachu will try to back up as like, hey, I'm the Pokemon representative for Ash.
I think
They're good.
The problem with that is I still think I would have complained about the film. Either with that ending, I probably would have still complained. I would have said that's stupid. And why? Because it's because the whole film Rayquaza spent being a fucking dick and being petty about you walking into my ozone layer and attacking everything with no concern.
I have a feeling that the movie probably got rewritten because of the elongation. Because
now, as far as the beginning is concerned, well, here's the question, because I was debating on how I felt about this. Do you think the trauma that Tori went through was justifiably enough for him to be the way he is?
Yes.
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 Because anything traumatic that happens to a kid at that age, it'll go on them
Yeah.
forever. Like fear of flying, fear of heights. Same shit. Same shit
in
applies.
fact, that's the problem. The movie had a good idea at the start to deal with trauma. They just didn't handle trauma correctly. When you get traumatized, you don't. We have therapists who spend years and years, and psychologists who spend years trying to help that. You can't just fix it in one montage. You can't. I'm sorry, you can't.
No.
And if we're talking about alternate endings, if that doesn't work, then let's say Tori's Deoxys defends Rayquaza from getting attacked by the other Deoxys.
Okay, I'm fine
Now
with
that I would say, if
I'm
we're talking about,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
Because
at least then Rayquaza's like, oh snaps, they're good because one defended me. Then he leaves.
Like
no.
I think that works better. I think that's a better ending.
Long story short, I should be writing Pokemon movies.
That's have the conversation because I think you and TSS have both brought it up. What is the biggest offense about the montage? Because you both mentioned it. I want to hear like.
Okay.
I'll let TSS go first.
Okay, so in the montage, which lasts like a minute and 50 seconds, I uploaded it last night. So basically, it's just like a montage, like when they see the aura outside during the nighttime, and it's just like, okay, everybody come out and let's play. So what plays is the full title we like to call Lovely Boy is Lovely Yume Miru Lovely Boy, or Lovely Dreaming of Lovely Boy, and it's by Tommy February 6th. And you know when shit is real, when a person that writes the song is named after a vehicle from Southern California, Malibu convertible. Yeah, that's high quality shit. But anyway, the biggest issue is that it's one of those songs that are very infectious, very off-putting, and especially since the intro of it is the mid-2000s equivalent of the Rick roll. That's serious shit. If you don't believe me, you can look on my Twitter because it's similar drum intro pattern. But essentially, it's like, and some people actually say that this side of Paradise is better in that montage, and I would actually agree with that because a 5-year-old can make a better song than Lovely Boy, and it's like I think it's the worst song in the Pokemon franchise by far.
Okay, Tyrone, unmute yourself, god damn it!
Sorry, I'm here. Okay, so the montage, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, on the American end, they're playing this side of Paradise, which is no better.
I disagree with that. It's actually less like it melts less brain cells than Lovely Boy does.
I haven't listened to the Japanese songs, so I don't know.
Let's talk about the fact that
good. You've spared yourself a lot.
I mean, I'm gonna go listen to it.
Let's talk about the fact that the montage song. Let's talk about the fact that the montage song is going in like what 26 minutes into the movie.
38.
Yeah, 38 minutes into the movie. So yeah, we're already 38 minutes in, and we're doing this. Okay, I guess it's just there's nothing wrong with the Pokemon and trainers having fun. That's not the issue that we have right now. It's just I feel like this was so all of a sudden because first of all, Ash doesn't even know like a chunk of these characters. Now they're all playing together, singing together, laughing, playing double dutch or jump rope or whatever that was.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm pretty sure that Satoshi and Toy probably had rotator cuff surgery after that because that was some serious arm rotation going on there with a jump rope.
That was some extreme jump roping, but it's just I felt like these characters didn't establish enough of a relationship for this montage to even happen. If this happened because they've been through a whole thing, but here it's like, oh, I beat your ass in a Pokemon battle. By the way, let's have our Pokemon play. That's exactly how Ray comes off too. He comes off so cocky about it, and then the other two characters, I don't care. Like the one character that likes May, I didn't care about him at all. I forgot.
Unnecessary.
Yeah, like I completely forgot about him. That was his character trait. And then Ray's twin sisters, I think they were just supposed to be parallel characters because Hoen's doing the whole doubles thing. You know, twins plus Alaminum's there. Double battles was done in the battle tower. So yeah, I feel like they were there specifically for cute factor, which unfortunately hinders Max because now he just has to be the third wheel in this whole thing. So we end up getting weird scenes like Munchlax offering the kids a sandwich. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like like lice coming off of its skin. Like, no, you don't want to have. That was a waste. That was like a waste of like 2 minutes.
Really? I think the gag was pretty good. I actually like that.
Well, it was there, but it felt like I don't know. The gag could have been shorter. It could have been shorter. The minute Munchlax offered them the sandwich and scratch, they could have just said no, and then we could have gone to the next scene. They say no.
But it lingers for like 20 seconds afterwards.
After they say no, Munchlax eats it, and then they get upset again. It's like, why would you guys get upset? You just said you didn't want the sandwiches. It's just okay.
Okay, I agree with that. So
Yeah.
let me just give my kind of rebuttal as far as the montage is concerned. I feel like Tyrone's standards as far as the characters and how they didn't deserve the how this came too early in the film, or this wasn't like they hadn't had enough of a connection. Ash has done more friendlier things with characters he's only known for a few minutes. Like even his friendship with Sam in the fourth movie wasn't that deep, or just a surface level. So I don't have an issue with the montage itself, and I also don't agree with the idea that the montage shouldn't fix Tori's problems. Well, in my opinion, it didn't. Remember, he still couldn't even touch the Pokemon until the very end of the film. It was the very end of the film before Tori.
We went from.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say we went from Tori avoiding Ash just because he had Pikachu on his shoulder to I'm gonna play with all the Pokemon, just don't have them touch me. Like what? It felt so out of place.
Because see, here's the thing though. You're missing those small little moments in between. Like for example, when he helped was it Plusle out of the trash can?
Minun was stuck in the trash can. Well, yeah, but he did what was right, but he made sure that they didn't get near him.
But
he used the stick and everything.
The point I'm making is that he wasn't so afraid of Pokemon that he would refuse to help one in trouble if it was something he could do about it. Now, the fact that Deoxys took one of them away, and I can't tell. I think the sequence is trying to say that he could have reached for him and he didn't, and he felt conflicted, or maybe I can't tell if it's saying he couldn't have grabbed it. Or he could have, but his fear wouldn't let him. I can't tell which one it's implying. It seems to be a combination of both. The point I'm making is that it wasn't like he was directly interacting with the Pokemon. Actually, the montage is honestly more for the Pokemon themselves, because you barely see Tori and Ash and the other humans in there, except for like splices, like them swinging.
Yeah.
And shit. I think they're.
And I think they're just there to mostly show off the Pokemon that won't be seen later in the movie because the Pokeball stopped working.
Exactly. I don't think that takes away from the film. I don't think. Now, to be fair, it's not like I'm saying it's adding a lot either. But I don't.
You get like freaking traumatizing music 38 minutes into the film. I don't think that helps it at all.
I didn't hate the song personally.
To counter,
you haven't listened to Lovely Boy.
Why I will.
You haven't listened to Lovely Boy.
I will.
You have no freaking standard for that, man.
We'll see.
Terrell, to counter the whole thing with Sam, because I did want to talk about his relationship with Sam now that you brought it up. In movie 4, Ash and Sam didn't become buddies immediately. Sam's major concern was Celebi. Like, that was his whole concern from that point, and they didn't get to start becoming friends until, like, they were already established their characters, and Celebi had become healthy again. But until that point, Sam was mostly focused on Celebi, so I feel like his development with Ash was more justifiable than the development he has with these characters. Now, granted, Like I said, I feel
He's
like
also, to be
if
fair,
you-
he's not also running around calling everyone his best friend. To be fair,
I feel like I feel like if you had trimmed the fat and used those moments of error that TSS said effectively for character building, this movie could have been really good. Like Tori's whole situation is a situation I wish could get tackled again, but I don't think Pokemon's ever going to get that deep again. Like I don't
you
trust
say that,
them
but
to.
isn't technically Lily's thing in Sun and Moon essentially Tori's thing?
Lily's thing.
At least in concept.
It took some episodes for her to. Yeah. Lily's thing.
Well, thank you.
Lily's
Well,
thing
welcome
was
to the
different 'cause it
Pokemon
was
Company where we
episodic.
recycle ideas every
Yeah.
5
Well,
years.
it was episodic, but I think the thing with Lily was that Lily did have a moment where she liked Pokemon at a younger age. I think it progressively got worse because of the type null stuff. I think with Lily though is that they did take episodes to slowly get her to one episode it was to the point where she could touch an egg, then the next episode was to the point where she could only touch Vulpix, and then there was an episode where she could touch Pikachu. So they slowly but surely got there. Tori, it's just like, yeah, we'll get him over it in a few. Like,
do you
just
think
give us.
it? So do you think?
But first,
do you think the
But
problem
first, we
is
gotta
that
show
it's,
Snorlax
that it-
shooting a bottle into a trash can.
Do you think the problem is more so that the film, that in a movie you can't really pace it out properly to have that level of development? Because I mean, getting over PTSD even in an hour and 20 or hour and 30 minutes, some people would say unless the whole film is only about that's not enough time.
Well, considering that you have 4 years, could be, but
But it wasn't
I
like he
mean-
was making progress for 4 years. Yeah, but you mean the trauma lasting 4
yeah,
years?
well, yeah, because remember you have a time skip.
Right.
Has to be something like that, but
Do you think it would have worked better if they hadn't done anything with the legendaries? Or at least let me phrase that. Maybe not done anything with Rayquaza.
it would have still worked if they would have matched what they had in the trailer, which would have been like the big epic battle in in the way that the trailer imagined it, because of course the trailer almost never has the right scenes in it that are made into the final movie. If movie 7 was shorter, then I think it could have then I wouldn't have as much regret or remorse against it. But it's just that since it was kind of it had to be reformed when it was in the final planning stages. That would kind of killed it for me, because they had, like I mentioned before, they had to shoehorn parts to fill time, and that doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like I said, I feel like if they trimmed the fat and filled that up with stuff that could have worked better towards developing these characters, then I think it wouldn't have been as hard of a pill to swallow. Because it's not a terrible movie on its own merits. I think it just doesn't live up to the expectations that it set out.
It doesn't fit into a 100-minute movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's say this.
Hell no.
Well, let me ask this then. TSS said, if I remember correctly, that this is your least favorite film, Pokemon.
That's
film.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Out of the 7 films we've watched so far, Tyrone and Richie, where do you put it? I know it's towards the bottom, but what do you think it's the worst one, or do you think?
I forgot. That's movie 4. Second to last.
Tyrone.
This one's weird for me. If I were to look at both, the one problem I had with movie 4 was that it felt like a giant thing of air. This one, you know what? I'm gonna say second to last too, only because of not for the movie itself, but for the elements that the movie had that I thought were interesting. A kid being traumatized by Pokemon, that's a nice element. I like that. That's experimental, and I feel like it could work in a different movie. The survival stuff where Ash and the others basically had to thrive for food. They had none of the resources they're used to using. I like that idea too. So those saved the movie from being absolutely horrible.
Now, the thing about me is, though, yeah, I would rank movie 4 towards the bottom. Actually, I almost ranked Hoopa worse than movie 7, but the problem is movie 7 wins because of Lovely Boy, of the worst, because that song is like I said, the worst Pokemon movie song that has ever existed. It doesn't even convey the message of what Pokemon is. It was just like okay, Tommy February 6th just took. It's like, oh, we got to promote her somehow. So let's slap her onto a Pokemon movie and call it a day. And that's it.
And I also want to say that this movie is going to start, and I'm not going to get too much into it because we're reviewing those movies later. But I know in Diamond and Pearl does it a lot. Black and White did it seldomly. This movie starts that whole legendary Pokemon are in the same spot. They must fight because get off my turf.
Right. I think if I personally had to rank it, and I'm thinking about it, I probably like this film. It's probably like middle of the road for me. I probably
you've given this movie the most sympathy.
I didn't
because he has not been lovely boyed.
Listen. That song is not going to drop it enough.
You know, hold on.
Because the way even if the song is as bad as you say, I'll just rank the English version versus the Japanese version.
But the problem is then you have to live with freaking bad CGI.
I just take that as a product of the time. That's the way I look at that.
Yeah, but that's not it. They got a version of an incomplete version of the film. The CGI wasn't that horrible. I guess the only problem was the boat, the CGI people on the boat. I guess that's the only bad.
The problem is
the tunnel, the underground tunnel scene actually looked pretty decent.
I don't think I can agree that the CGI looks bad in certain places. I just don't think it doesn't do enough to detract from the film for me, especially because I think the film has a good art style.
Also for the folks not knowing what the hell a random person was doing on the train while they were escaping. That was Kaba-chan, who was on like the Pokemon Hosokyoku stuff, and he also made like Pokemon Irukana 2004. It was just a shameless insert into the movie, and that's why another reason why. I had a feeling
that's what it was relating to. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Kaba-chan in the car. Once again, another bad freaking thing.
That
drives it down.
For me, because I think movie 4 is worse than it. I think movie 1 is worse than it, and I think movie. I'm very tempted, and I'm very conflicted about it. To put movie to put movie 5 under it. I'm very conflicted. I think that one. M5 had much better music than this piece of garbage. No. I agree. That's the only reason why I'm debating it. I think I would put it. I think it's my third least favorite. Like I put it over movie 1 and I put it over movie 4. But that's also because people in Tyrone and at least Richie know I don't fucking like movie 1. I think movie 1 is highly. I know movie 1 gets a lot of love because it's movie 1. Instead of making a good film, in my opinion, it's movie.
And by the way, my opinion on movie 1 is it was better with the Japanese Laserdisc was better without the CG.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the CG. I did.
Yeah, because CG was added. The CG was added. In DVD and VHS releases, but the Japanese Laserdisc had no CG, and it looks better like that.
I think if I had to put my list right now, and this might be going into shit that I didn't intend to go into, but it's probably, if I remember right, it's movie. I think I did 3, 2. I'm trying to think 3, 2. Probably 3, 2, 5. 3, 2, 5, 6, 7, 1, 4. So it's out of the 7 films, it's number 5. I'll be real with you. When I watched that film last night, I had barely anything I was even annoyed with. And I still think and I think one of the best sequences in the film is the sequence in which every character is working together in different areas. Mm-hmm. Like they're working on the windmills to get the windmills spinning.
That's fun. That's a fine scene.
That's a good scene.
Using platinum mining to kind of get the hatch open on that, I guess, that spherical building they were in. They were trapped in, working together. Like, oh, I got caught. and now I can get in here and rig up the door, and then Ash and Tori can come in with Plusle and Pikachu to help mine and open the door. They open the door and let everybody out, and then those people come to help pull the windmills along with the Pokemon helping. I think that whole sequence is great. I even like the stuff when they're going to go get the hot dogs and all that other shit.
Yeah.
And
like I said, the survival aspect is good.
Yeah, I think that's like the best section in the film, personally.
Yeah, because I think there's this moment while Ash, Brock, and Tori are getting the hot dogs. While that's happening, I believe Ray, Rebecca, and the others are doing something else. And I love when movies
they're finding where they're being taken.
Yeah, so I love when movies are constantly like, okay, we'll utilize these characters this way, while we have another scene that utilizes characters this way. I liked that. Like I said, the survival aspect was great, but it happened so quickly. It's over almost.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's not long enough. And here's my thing. That's part of the reason why I don't have as much hatred for these side characters as you might. Because they're doing shit in the film. They may not be the most likable of characters, but they're definitely doing shit to the film, and they're contributing. Especially with Rebecca and Yoko having the conversation and looking over the footage and figuring shit out. They're all doing something except for maybe the twins. The twins and probably Sid, because Sid is primarily comic relief. I think my problem with Sid is that Sid is essentially Brock, except while Brock's doing it to Rebecca, Sid's doing it to May, and May doesn't understand that you should be saying no, or else you're going to cause a misunderstanding that might get you in trouble later. Because they're consistently in the film, and they're constantly, and when they're showing up, they're a part of sequences and shit, I don't have as much of a disdain for them. But my worst thing is for you to introduce characters in a film, and they don't do shit. That's why it annoys me more with characters like the first movie film characters, I want to say Sam to a lesser degree, but he does things. I don't like. The reason why I don't like Sam is because they downplay Ash for the sake of Sam, and I don't care for that. Whereas in this film, they don't downplay Ash for the sake of Tori. Ash is one of my favorites.
To be fair though, movie 4 had an extra 20 minutes to the dub inserted in, so you can't. You can't say anything like that.
Oh, that's true. The other thing,
so that's probably why you think 4 is worse. Japanese version doesn't have the 20-minute backstory, the back thing, and the backstory. So that's probably why the Japanese version of the film is more tolerable.
Well, I mean that's fine. And then the other thing was the damn it, lost my train of thought. I had him TSS messed me up talking about the Japanese version of the film.
Okay, you were talking about how the characters, how you had like characters that weren't being used.
Yeah, like
stuff
even even compared to something like movie 5, where Bianca and Lorenzo aren't used competently. Now, granted, they're not terrible, but they're also not used well, I would say. Like, I think movie 7 uses its side characters better than movie 5 does. That's my thing. That's the reason why I don't have as much disdain for them compared.
Yeah, but then again, no, you probably didn't watch that when it came out. That's the problem. I watched it like
I watched it
3 weeks after.
No, the early. You talking about movie 5 or movie 7?
7.
I watched movie 7 as soon as it came out. Yeah, at least in America, not in Japan. But in America, when it came out in America, I consistently watched every movie film when it dropped until maybe. I want to say the black and white films. That's when I stopped. I think the last film I watched when it came out was probably the Zekrom and Reshiram one. Everything else I caught a little later than when it dropped. And movie 7 is my third time seeing it.
My thing about it is, like I said, my disdain has to do with Lovely Boy and the fact that the movie structure is all over the place.
Yeah, the movie it probably has the weakest structure of the 7 films we've touched so far. I think it has enough for me personally to not bother me as much with it. I appreciate some of the things it does, and those things outweigh the negatives. I think the Munchlax shit is stupid. I know the other thing I was going to talk about. The fact that they kept true to Ash's character. One of my favorite scenes is actually in the sequence that we almost all agreed that we could cut out. when they got to get to the security bot and present the passport, I like the fact that that's Ash doing that. In another film, they would have just had fucking the character of the day or the character of the film do all that shit, and Ash is just playing support. I like the fact that Ash is the one who climbs all the way up through the blocks to get to the security robot, and even though he drops his car, Tori is still doing the role of support and is still relevant because he throws Ash his card. And Pikachu even does that cool, like, not getting in the
tail
air.
slap. Yeah, see, I like that.
I understand. Now, I agree that the actual sequence itself probably didn't need to exist. At the same time, from what we were given, I'm okay with the sequence, personally.
Yeah, but again, that. But
I agree that it could have been cut out.
If they would have made that sequence, they could have made the sequence 5 minutes shorter. That's the problem. It just drags on too long.
Yeah, I feel like and the scene that I made up of Tori and the others trying to defend Rayquaza would actually help Tori's character development. He went from being afraid and not wanting to touch Pokemon to wanting to defend one from getting hurt because in the end, he wants to do what's right, just like with the Minun thing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, just with a movie of this size, there was I felt like they tried to clutter too much into one setting. Yeah. The survival stuff was good.
Well, here's my question.
And I feel like the whole movie could have been revolved around that.
This is what I was going to go into. This was something I was going to mention before, and I think I got distracted. Do you think the film would have been better if you just took out the Rayquaza stuff and just focused on Deoxys trying to find its friend?
No.
Why is that?
Because you need tension.
Yeah.
You need tension. I mean, just to be honest, that without the tension, this movie's nothing.
Well, the tension, but what I'm saying, the tension would have still been there.
Well,
no,
because Deoxys would have still done. Deoxys would have still done what it did.
Yeah, but it wasn't enough.
Then you're gonna get basically into Hoopa territory, and we're not gonna talk about that.
What I think, what I think it is.
I can't say anything about it.
Yeah, dude, believe me. When you watch it,
we're gonna get to it. You're gonna get to it.
You're gonna get to that, and then you got to remember me saying that. You've been warned.
Oh God.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing with Rayquaza, because Rayquaza isn't an unnecessary character. Rayquaza, he's the third party. He's like, whenever conflict happens in a fictional story, when you layer it up into more than just antagonist versus protagonist, it builds a level of tension that makes it more. That gives it more meat. Like, I know I'm gonna get a little bit off topic, but I remember one of scenes in Dragon Ball, obviously the Frieza arc, where they had Gohan and the others head to Namek to get the Dragon Balls. But while they're there, the Namekians are fighting off against Frieza's soldiers, and Vegeta's there too. So there's 4 parties conflicting with each other. That builds the story, because now you raise questions: what's gonna happen? So when Deoxys is there, along with Rayquaza following him, not only do we have to deal with Deoxys, but we do deal with Rayquaza's conflict that he had with Deoxys. Because they do have an established rivalry at the beginning of the movie. So it's not out of nowhere. So I feel like if that conflict is going on, which obviously Rayquaza shows that it doesn't give a damn about the area it's fighting in, just so long as it beats its target, then you add this level of conflict that can potentially hurt the other characters because the city is full of people. Well, obviously, if it's full of people, it has the risk of getting destroyed by Rayquaza and Deoxys' fighting. And
we actually didn't also mention that there was a barrier.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
why that's why there was no power.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
because Deoxys basically put up an entire bubble barrier shield.
Yeah.
Protecting that part so that he could find the other Deoxys.
Well, then I like the fact that when the Deoxys gets hurt is when the barrier weakens, and that's how Rayquaza gets through.
Breaks.
I was going to ask you, TSS, because you watched the Japanese version, I'm guessing, right?
Yes, of course. Okay.
Then my question is this: is Yoko his mom or no?
No.
Okay.
No,
she is not. Nuts.
He pronounced Yoko by name.
That's what was driving me nuts. The way they
she is the lab assistant.
Okay. The way they interacted, it drove me nuts because it wasn't like
I know.
because it comes off like they're related or like that's his mom.
But but no. It's
But Tori
established pretty.
calls-
It's established
I
pretty
know
on.
I know why. I know he's
Early
calling her,
on.
and it was driving me
Well,
nuts.
Yeah, and not just that. I think because Tori calls his father dad. He'll say daddy
Yes.
and stuff to his own father, but he'll just pronounce Yoko Yoko. So I knew that biologically, I don't think they were
No.
mother and son.
Because the way
She
they
might be someone who's trying to talk to his father,
That's what I was. That was
and
what was
she can
bugging me.
step into like stepmom territory.
Yeah,
but
'cause
I
the way
don't
they
think
were-
she's like.
the way they were interacting is like that's the direction I was leaning into. I was like, what you trying to do, Yoko? Because we ain't getting any younger out here.
But there was no romance. I think there was just
No,
she was just there,
she did hang
there,
out. Yeah, she
there
did.
for the project,
Okay,
and that's
Yeah.
what it was. And there was no indication.
I was just curious.
Oh yeah. Also,
I know,
Roxas
because we remember we talked about last time that movie 6 changed some stuff around, but movie 7 was pretty straightforward.
Also,
So-
Brock says Professor Ivy and doesn't freak out.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dub in the dub version, I think.
Dub
the
version, no,
Yeah, in
there
the
was
dub.
nothing yet.
I do appreciate those references, actually, especially considering this is Advanced Generation Brock. This isn't like Johto Brock, so that's a weird statement to bring up.
Yeah, again, it's just a piece of script writing. It
Hey man, I
didn't exist in the original.
appreciate references, yo. It doesn't
I
take
know.
away
Right.
from the film, so I'm cool with it. Have we touched on everything? I don't think there's anything.
Yes.
I think so.
Jesus Christ, Jesus.
Yeah, because the sooner we're done with that, the sooner I can throw it in the garbage.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ.
yeah,
Richie, hold on, Richie. Did you have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well, I already said it for me, I guess.
But we need.
Because
I want to hear
the
you
last
say-
thing,
Go
the
ahead.
only thing I really had to say was just about how the rivalry ended and how that was just kind of. It seemed like a pushover. It was one of those things where you could.
Well, it's because of blocks.
Yeah, but still doesn't mean it blocks or without blocks. So.
Strongest Pokemon in the world, beat by blocks.
Yep.
To be fair, also I do like the fact. I don't know if this is canon with the Japanese version, but in the English dub, they mentioned that it was the professor who gave Deoxys its name. Is that true in the Japanese?
That is true. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, I like
Part of
that.
me,
I
yeah,
like
part
that.
of me, yeah, so part of me likes that the fact that this movie is kind of the origin of. That's why he's called Deoxys because I named him Deoxys. I'm like,
That's correct. Yep, that's
Yeah,
correct.
I like that.
that was a cool. Thing.
I like that only because like they didn't name it at all when it showed up. They just gave it the dub name. I like that.
That's cool. I appreciate
That's cool. Yeah.
that.
Also, in the World of Pokemon intro, by the way, and maybe I'm tripping, but
I think you
did they
really went
just-
rank on this.
no, did they take movie 6's World of Pokemon clips of Ash and the others in the various other movies and just swap them around a little bit and then add Jirachi's whole like Flygon fight?
Yeah.
Well, they
Actually,
did.
they take a scene from movie 6.
They take a scene from movie 6. But,
Movie 6.
Yeah, but
And then all the other
but the
stuff,
world
like
of Pokemon
Celebi
stuff
flying
is
through and-
the world of Pokemon stuff was recreated, but the problem is when I actually noticed, like, I think it was a Rapidash or another Pokemon that was running and it had very bad frames.
It was probably
Yeah.
Rapidash.
Yeah, Rapidash always has problems with.
I vaguely remember that scene. That's the reason why I say
Yeah,
that.
because
Yeah,
Rapidash has to have-
because it goes like because the Pokemon that runs is kind of like or maybe it could have been Arcanine. It has the animation is like jumpy, like jittery, and you can notice that and everything else. So
Yeah, Rapidash always has problems with frames for some reason. I guess because they have to keep that fire going. Because I
Yeah.
remember there was
There's-
one scene where
Rapidash
like,
is actually surprisingly a busy Pokemon when you like animate it.
yeah,
Yes.
Pokemon the movie. I remember the scene where Rapidash's flames were gone for all of like 1 second. It was kind of creepy.
Oh my goodness.
He was just a regular
Never seen
horse for
regular
a second.
before?
No, well, he has a horn. He's a unicorn.
He's a unicorn flying in the.
But yeah, that. Other than that, that's it.
I guess we can move into final thoughts then, right? I guess.
yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Richie, you go first. I guess score and final thoughts. Out of 10.
I did say this was second to last, with movie 4 being the last. I don't remember exactly what I gave 4, but I think this is close to what I gave it. But for movie 7, leaning on 5.5 or 6. We'll just go to 6. I mean, it's all right for what it is. But for someone that enjoys legendary versus legendary, I felt like this one was just not. This one was just kind of brushed off. I do understand about the blocks, but still, because obviously when people see the poster or the movie, they're like, "Oh my god, Deoxys Rayquaza," but it seemed like that's all they really came in for until later on, and then they're like, "Who's Rayquaza again?" Because we haven't seen him for a lot in the movie until like the later half.
Yeah.
So I just didn't like the way they kind of ended that resolution. And I was kind of disappointed, but I did like the montage. I thought it was pretty well done. I mean, it just kind of showcases what Pokemon is really all about, really. Just human bonds and stuff like that. I actually did listen to the song TSS was talking about, and wow, I was surely entertained. Wow. Surely entertained. But anyways, I give it a 6. The benefits are the music is the music. I mean, I expect it to be good, and it was all right. I did like the montage. I did like Tori's character development. The negatives could have ended it early. Didn't like the way they ended the legendary, the whole legendary battle. What else? I think that's pretty much it. It's a pretty decent movie. Do I recommend to go see it, re-see it? Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a priority. So that's it.
Okay. TSS.
Oh, snaps.
4.4.
That's actually higher. That's higher than what I was thinking.
That's way higher than I thought he was
going
to do.
I thought it was going to be lower than that.
I thought it was going to be 2.
All right, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, okay. I'll say this much. If the film didn't have so much filler, then it would have been an okay movie. However, considering that the hype from the original trailer had nothing to do with this, that kind of docked a few points. Once again, lovely boy, and also a lot of points are taken off because the ending credits, especially when you have that 6.5 minute extended Plusle and Minun version of Lovely Boy, which is the worst thing ever to happen. I remember one of our side admins, JDS. He was timing the karaoke back then, 14 years ago. He got freaking so enthralled in the headache that he had somebody else do it because he couldn't take the fucking song. Okay, so that's one of the reasons, and then it causes, and that song causes trauma, causes brain cells to die. So
Tori level trauma.
Pretty much. I mean, once again, like I said, it's a song that didn't need to be in the movie, and it had nothing to do. It made the film worse. And of course, that scene. The movie is 15 minutes too long. The boxes going ape shit was unnecessary, and the Munchlax scenes and lots of other filler scenes that could have been taken out. I just don't like it. I would not recommend watching this. And the dub people, you're lucky because you didn't have to freaking suffer through Lovely Boy twice in this film. So 4.4 out of 10.
Taro.
Worst movie in the franchise.
Damn.
Taro.
I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 4.5. The movie has pieces. I'm sorry. The movie has pieces I like.
Before you go on, I actually want to bump it down to a 5.5. There we go.
Okay. The movie.
Right.
I'm just trying to be generous.
The movie
You're being generous
has
by knocking it down.
down.
I mean, I could have said 3, but
Yeah, just move on.
What?
Let's move on.
The movie has bits and pieces that I do like. I like like I said, I like the idea that they played around with a kid who doesn't like Pokemon. In a world where everybody's supposed to love Pokemon, there's this kid here who doesn't like Pokemon. I think that's a very admirable step for them to take for a movie. But it doesn't handle its time well. It's given all this time and it handles it very sloppishly. There's scenes that don't need to exist. Team Rocket was a big contributor to filler.
Yes.
In this movie for some reason.
But Team Rocket has always contributed to filler, to be fair.
But this was obnoxious. At least in the other ones, they fell in line with what was happening. Like, for example, in movie 3, the best Pokemon movie ever, while Brock is battling Molly, Team Rocket is running up the steps while the battle's taking place. While they're underwater, they're making a joke, and their joke starts and ends while Misty's fighting Molly. It's over just as fast as it got there. Here, it's just Team Rocket stealing sandwiches and then getting them stolen from Munchlax, and then we got to go through James getting kidnapped by Deoxys, and it's just a mess. Just a huge.
And also not to mention them trying to mess with a hamburger machine failing.
Yeah, that and like
Waste of
nothing's
time.
happening. Yeah, nothing's happening while that's taking place. Whereas at least in the other movies, when they're wasting time, it's streamlined into what's happening in the plot. This was just Munchlax doing the same joke twice. Just a lot of air and fat in this movie, and it has good ideas.
Fits Snorlax's character.
Right. It has ideas. It's just they're not executed properly for the time allotted for the movie. So yeah, 4.5.
All right. I'm giving it a 6.5.
Oh snap!
Oh,
That's not surprising. Come on now. If you watch the video,
Yeah, it's not. It's not. It's not. It's actually a higher score than what I originally thought this was gonna be.
I'm gonna. My main reasons for this are I will say that the film is obese, but it's only like maybe 30 pounds obese versus like 80.
what the fuck?
It's one of those films that I think ages better than I remember.
Need some Slim Fast.
Yo, you bastards.
Oh.
It's one of those films that initially I wasn't looking forward to watching. I watch it now, and it's actually gotten better with me as I've watched it. I've seen it 3 times in total. I think the side characters, although bland as hell, which is the negative, are at least used consistently and properly. Tori may have some weird... I think overall his development is fine. I think the best part of it's probably the plus or minus stuff. That's what kind of really makes it for me, and I think it was a really clever thing to do. Instead of it just being, oh yeah, Ash is the guy. Ash is my Jesus. I think they stayed true to the most part for everyone's character, barring a few exceptions. The Deoxys stuff was good. I like the survival aspects of the film. I might have my issues with the Team Rocket and the Munchlax stuff and some of the more padded sequences. But as an overall experience, do those take away completely to the point where I'm like, I will never watch this film again unless I have to? Nah, I probably will watch this film again. Not for a while, like a lot of these Pokemon films, but it's one of those films that I think gets more shit than it really deserves. So I'm not gonna be that guy. It is flawed. It is still flawed. It still has a bunch of padding in it. It still has some bloat to it, but it's a finer piece of media than others would say. So I like the film. Would I recommend you watch it? It's one of those things that I almost put it in the same tier as movie 6.
Do it when you have absolutely nothing left to do. Watch it on a Sunday morning.
To be fair, a lot of Pokemon films fall into that category. I'll say that.
Well, watch this one on a Sunday morning when there's, or at least watch it to like see how Pokemon handles trauma.
Watch this during a fucking snowstorm when it's 40 inches of snow outside and you can't get out of your house.
Oh.
That's the only time.
That sounds like TSS when he watched this film. I would say personally, it's one of those films that if you saw it come on TV, would you sit down and watch it? Well, fuck it, it's already on TV. Why not? Is it one of those things I would go buy? I would pay for?
No,
no,
I wouldn't.
No.
No.
Mm-mm,
Hell
no.
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 To be fair,
I bought
to
the
be-
movie 7 soundtrack for fucking 300 yen, and that was all I was
To
willing
be
to pay.
fair, a lot of
Why
Pokemon
watch this
films,
background noise?
a lot of the Pokemon films I wouldn't pay for nowadays, but I think it's an alright
Ooh.
watch. But that's
Watch
just
his.
me.
I mean, if I saw it on
Background
TV, I'll
noise.
probably watch it. If I saw it on TV, I'll probably watch it for like
It's
5
like-
minutes.
The fucking Destiny Deoxys only on 2 Disney or something. Like fucking.
Disney XD.
I don't think Toon Disney.
Yeah, Disney.
Whatever. I
Whatever.
don't think Toon Disney exists anymore. So
I don't have
No, it
cable.
doesn't. It's Disney
No.
XD.
Can you tell I don't have cable?
we don't need cable. All you need is a streaming service, and that's it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah, that's
much.
true. Yep.
Yeah.
Either that or you
But,
invest in
yeah.
Sling for $25, folks. Not
Well, we're
sponsored
done
because we
with
don't have
that
any money. Anyways, yeah, we're
We're-
done. We're done with that.
We're done with that one, so you know what that means?
Time to burn it.
Woo!
Well, I mean, you can burn it. Now, listen, to this. If you
Lucario?
want to light fire to it and then send me a clip of you burning it, it's on you. I'm not gonna say you have to do that.
Because I only own TS files, not freaking not the discs. Because I don't want to
No, it's all right.
So-
We can deal with it. Anywho, so yeah, we're done with Destiny Deoxys, folks. I don't think we might. I'm not gonna promise it. We might be able to get to movie 8 before the year's over. It kind of just depends on people's schedules. As you notice, a person isn't here that was here last time, so that should give you a hint. The struggle's already real. We're getting towards Christmas time.
Yeah, Smash and Christmas. Like those are the two candidates.
If it's gonna, I'll put it this way: if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen somewhere between after the 7th to like maybe the 20th, and that's if people are even available. So we'll see what happens. But the goal is to try to get movie 8 out before the year's over. And movie 8 is next. Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. Or
Which is a far better movie than this
Yes.
piece of garbage.
Jesus Christ, guys.
It's a good movie.
It is a good movie, but Jesus Christ, guys, that's spoilers. We don't talk about that. And you will rewatch it, everyone. You will rewatch it.
We
Well,
finally
I-
made
hey,
it.
well,
For the
I
sake
would-
of the culture, you will rewatch it.
I would watch movie 8 25 times before watching M7 again.
Okay, that's harsh. That's a little much. Buddy. God. would
Yeah,
you-
because it
would
has
you
better
watch-
fucking music.
Would you watch the Volcanion movie 25 times over the 7?
Volcanion was actually decent.
No, my bad. Hoopa. I'm sorry, Hoopa.
Okay, Hoopa. No, I would probably watch Hoopa 3 times before 7 again.
Were you
I'm
surprised?
very interested. I'm very interested in watching.
I'll put
Hoopa
5
now.
times.
Hoopa, yeah, because you'll find out quickly why Hoopa is the second worst movie of all
Really?
time.
Because I feel like I'm gonna get the. Are you? I'd be curious. I'd be curious where you place the Gen 4 films then.
Ooh, this is gonna be fun.
Because the Gen,
Yeah,
I have my. From what I remember, the Gen 4 films were pretty fucking bad.
Well,
They
that's
were-
in the distant future, guys.
Except the Darkrai film, but that's a whole nother thing.
Whoa.
We'll
Yeah,
get into
that's
that
the-
later.
Whoa,
We're gonna
yeah.
get into that later. Thank you TSS for showing up again.
You're welcome.
I don't know how consistently we'll make this a consistent thing, but god damn it, we're gonna ride this wave until it motherfucking crashes. So thank you TSS, thank you
Thank you.
Richie, thank you Tyrone. Next up, this is more Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. For those who know, get excited, and for those who don't know, get fucking ready, because it's gonna be a hell of a ride next time. Anyway, this has been the Insane Game Freak. As a game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Peace. Oh.
Bye-bye.
Don't drive the Malibu convertible.
Jesus. God, Tyrone doesn't have a sign out phrase. I'm sorry he didn't say Pokemon Blue. It's alright.
I was wondering why not the Malibu.